Hey, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Our last session, we were discussing about Linux basics, and we're going to continue the same thing. And I can just go to here, Linux basics. Just to quickly recall, we have learned some commands, by the way. So what are the commands that we have learned so far? So it is going to be an ls command that we have talked about to start with. And ls also, we talked about -l and -a options we have seen. The next one, which we talked about, is a touch command to create a file and mkdir to create a directory. And after that, rm command to remove a file and rm space -r to remove a directory and -f sometime. It will prompt you yes or no. You don't want yes or no, then -r -f. Now, next you have is cp command. So if you want to copy the files, you have to give cp. And if you are actually copying a directory, then cp-r. And the next one we talked about is mv command. Mv is to rename a file. Okay, you have a source and target. So if the target doesn't exist, it just renames. If the target exists, if it is a file, it will overwrite. If it is a directory, the target is a directory. So you have a source and you have a target. Now, if the target does not exist, if it is a file, by the way, like you are doing with a file, okay, so that means target is a file. So target is a file, and the target is a if target is a file, then if your okay file does not exist, then what it is going to do is it is going to do a rename. Okay, or else if you are actually going to have the file exists, then overwrite. And if it is a directory, if the dir exists, then move to the directory. If the dir does not exist, then rename. Here also the same scenario. Okay, until here we have discussed in yesterday's session. So let's get with the next commands, by the way. And also I asked you to go through some Linux shortcuts for you to practice. I want to, so you to start practicing these shortcuts. At least if you want to start the shortcuts, there are many, by the way. If you want to start, these are the minimum 10. I would suggest you to do that. Okay. So please try to practice these particular shortcuts every day, by the way. So Linux, end of the day, every day you're going to deal with Linux, and how much you practice is going to it's going to bring you hands-on, by the way. All right. So that's what it is. Now let's move on to the next one. Now editor. Okay. So even if you look into the roadmap also, okay, so they were talking about the the editor, by the way. Okay. So now you can see this, they're talking about you should have an idea on editor. Okay, so that's the context. Now, editor is anyhow important. Why important in the sense minimum needed? But however, okay, also you need to understand again the same context which I shared yesterday. Okay, so which you no need to go with each and everything that which is available again. Okay, VI editor is a vast editor. Okay, no doubt in that. It's a very vast editor, and each and everything you don't need to know, by the way. Okay, so that's where, okay, so try to know about how do you do the things, because later, okay, or we're talking in the, or we're in the world of 2024. Okay, so that means like, so definitely like, we're doing the things better comparing a decade back or a 2 decades back. There is definitely a lot of maturity in that particular maturity context. We are not actually going to log into the servers directly. We might not actually modify the things on the server. In certain organizations, to an extent that, you will never log into a server at all. Everything is going to be done through automation. So that means if you want to make a change, okay, you will not even have access to the servers. everything you have to push to automation, and only automation can run on the server. So that is how it is going to be. So that's where you necessarily no need to log into the servers and edit the files. Okay, editor may not matter also. But however, you should have it on a needy day. At least you should know how to edit the file in Linux. That is something you should know. Okay, but not like all the fancy options that you have in the VM. So in that context, I'm going to tell you two different options. Okay, so just stick with those particular options, and those are enough to start your work. Okay. Now there are many editors in Linux, by the way. Out of them, okay, VI, almost 90% of the operating system shipped with VI as a default editor, and VI is a very powerful editor. Now you think about any editor in today's world that you install in your Windows. When I say editor, code editor, we're talking about, not the document editor, not the PDF editor, something like that. Okay, but talking about code editor, VI is the powerful one. VI is the powerful. Okay, still the powerful one. Has huge options. Like anyone who are okay, so who are I mean, who are a serious programmers, especially. I mean, whoever is again using the Mac OS or Linux boxes, they'll preferably use VI editor only, by the way. So they don't use any thought, but I mean any other editors they might come in. I mean, like it is available over the internet to download and use that. So they'll not use this. So I know many people, by the way. So still around me work, by the way. So works only on VI editor only. So they don't use any other editors. Again, it's their choice. So at least the Mac OS will provide that particular facility, by the way. Okay, because a V editor give you a flexibility of no typing of mouse. To really type. Sorry, no need of clicking any mouse, by the way. So that is an important thing that you have. So the moment you touch mouse, your productivity is degrading. All right. So that is the reason. So we are not going to prefer to have third-party details. Also, some people, but again, I am not. I don't belong to that category. Okay, because I am not that. Again, it's again personal decisions, right? So I'm okay with having some other editor which can do the job for me. So like maybe you're using like Notepad kind of a thing. So such editor like a window that can come in where you can use mouse and all also. At least I am not that. Okay, so I mean, not that core believer of. I mean, not believe in that perspective. Belief is yes, but not that much fan of that kind of a way of doing it. Okay, so some people does that. That's fine. It's their choice. So we can go with. One second. Sorry. Yeah, so that's where I mean, there are a lot of people still using V editor. Okay, no doubt it's a powerful editor, like as I mentioned. So let's go and try to learn some things about the editor, by the way. Now, two options. Okay, so and also like so let's go through this statement, by the way. Ideally, in the organization, we work on the local desktop. So even though you are learning editor, try to understand you are not going to develop the things on server. They'll give you a laptop. You'll be working on your local laptop on. Okay, so you'll not directly develop the server, directly do the things on the server. Okay, in real time, we don't want to do the modifications on the server directly. No one does this. Okay, like I mentioned, so some of you might not have access to the machines also. Okay, depends upon the type of business you are working in. Let's say I'm working for a core banking system where I'll not have even access to touch the systems. Anything I want to do it, I have to go through an automation only. Okay. In the RAID troubleshooting scenarios, we will gain the access to the service. Okay. Now, Later we go with automation where we do not manually change this. Okay, so change the things on the server. Sorry, change the things on the server. Yeah, and we will try to do that. Okay. Later we go with automations where we don't want manual changes on the server directly at all, even in lab, by the way, as well as in the companies. So in the lab here, we are going to do also do with the same thing, and even with the uh, even with the work where you are going to work also, we are not going to do this same thing, by the way. So this is the practices that you need to learn, by the way. Okay, so that's where once you are actually done with the Linux and go on to the automation immediately after the project. So now from this layer, okay, so until here, okay, we will not do anything manually. Okay, so we are going to do through automation. So that clearly SOP I will write, by the way, in the trainings. Okay, however we do, certain SOP will be there in the organizations. Okay, for people who doesn't know what is SOP, SOP is standard operating procedures. If I want to work, by the way, how I have to work. Okay, some sort of SOP will be there. All right, I will clearly write a SOP somewhere. Okay, yeah. So in the training, I'll try to do the SOP. I will not deviate this SOP. Okay, so since I write the SOP only, our training goes little lengthier time. Why? Because okay, so the things you do the manually, you can learn the things, not learn the things, you can run the things bit faster. Okay, just only in the lab practice. But you go for an organization, the things are going to be completely different. Okay, no one will allow you to touch the things. Okay, but still you need to do the work. Now maybe here, let's say as an example, whoever has some idea about, like, let's say AWS and all. I mean, in AWS, you maybe you know how to create a server in AWS console. You go to the UI and click on console, but you will not have such access in the organization. Still, you need to create the things. Okay, so because it is an SOP, by the way, so the thing should not be done manually. So it has to be automated. So that's where we'll clearly write the SOP, and that's where I was again telling here. So okay, we don't do the things manual changes even on the lab and even on the okay, so companies as well. So that's what we wanted to do in that particular context. This VA editor, you will not really log into the server. You do everything on the server. You develop on your local system. Okay, you push the changes to the server, and that pushing also comes with some process and all. We'll talk about that. That's again upcoming things. The whole context I wanted to set here, the last few minutes of what I was trying to tell you is understand that you will not log into the servers directly and do the changes. And when you log into the server only, this editor will come into picture. But at a rare cases, at least for some days, you have to live with knowing the things until you complete automation, you start learning the automation. You still need to deal with the server. So that's where we talk about the bare minimum options, that what is the MVP that we need to do, by the way. Okay. In Agile, okay, we follow this certain things, by the way. Okay. So it's all Agile mentality. Like, so been working in Agile for more than a decade. So even our thought process, or maybe my thought process also becomes towards to the Agile, by the way. In Agile, there is something called, as I was showing you other day, inception, right? Questioning. Okay. So Agile inception you have. Okay. So inception is all about questioning, understanding the problem. All right. So before, like, let's say before starting the problem, I mean, this is mostly come into the when you want to start a project, what do you want to start? You need a questioning. Okay. So that's where the inception come into picture. Now, after inception, by the way, so they will derive a MVP. Okay. Now we called as MVP. What is MVP is okay. So minimum viable product. Okay. So that means, like, so you have to work on MVPs all the time. You want to know something, what is a must and should that you know? Okay. Rest of the things is additional things. It's a good thing that you know. Okay. Not a must thing that you should know. All right. So when the development actually works also, okay, when they make the products and all, I mean, whatever the product you use generally, like, in your day-to-day life as well. Okay. So people think always about MVP. What is the must and minimum things that you should have it? And on top of that, what to have it. Okay. So for an example, maybe if I take a bank transfer example, for an example, if I want to transfer some amount from to a friend, by the way. So now that is a bank transfer. Now, what is an MVP there? Now, when someone asks for a transaction, the transaction should be done. Okay. Now, what is the additional things that you can have? Okay, sending the information to the two parties. Now your transaction is done. That is minimum MVP. Okay, amount should be detected from your account, should be updated your balance so that the amount is detected, and it should be updated in your friend's account. Okay, credited in your friend's account, and his balance has to be updated. That's an MVP. But on top of that, what is non-MVP here you can consider here is maybe sending a message to the person where it got detected. It may be a non-MVP, but it's a feel good feature. But having it is also good. Now you can also think like, sending a message also can be considered as an MVP kind of a thing in today's world. It's good, right? So balance is getting detected, at least an information should send it out. But that's okay. But just try to look at the feature perspective. That's really not a, a core MVP. It's an add-on feature, right? And even the credited person also, if it get informed, also it's better. Now, even the credited person, if come to know that this so-and-so person has credited also is a good information, right? And so this is how, okay, so you will be, um, okay, so talking about MVP. So let's apply that particular mentality even for the learning also. Uh, it will be really helping you. Okay, what is the must things that you should learn? What is the, other things you can, so or what is the, what is the extra things that you may or may not know is also something that you always need to understand, by the way. So that's where in that particular context, the minimum MVP of VI editor is how to open a file, how to edit the file, how to save the file. Now forget about 1,000 fancy options what you have there, or it's good options only. But if you are actually living with that, your whole life, definitely we have to learn with that. Okay, once upon a time we used to live with those particular editors. Okay, so where you don't have automation and all, we used to go to the servers and we used to modify the things directly. There were days, okay, like that. But today's is not that days, and that's where okay, let's going. I think it's been already more than 10 minutes. I've been explaining the same thing. So hope every one of you got that particular context. So certain methods is very important for learning as well. Okay, so try this MVP approach is my suggestion. Okay, MVP, ROI, return on investment also. Now you invest, like let's say, now there is a book also. So from Rangarajan, Natrajan. Okay, so VI 101 hacks is there. I mean, when we started the career, this book was there. Okay, if I want to really, okay, learn the VI editor, so this is really the good book. Okay, so I have learned many of these things, and I empowered myself many of these things by learning from this book, by the way. But like as I mentioned, so today world it is not needed. So I wasted so much time that time. This I would have done it in a better way, right? So like as I'm mentioning, so maybe that time I would have thought like so hey, you should not do it manually. Manually is not the futuristic scope. You should have gone with automation. That time, maybe 15, 16 years back, that was not the scope, by the way, right? So that's where so such options make sense. Okay, I would have suggested you even this book, maybe even a decade back actually, when we were teaching so around some automation tools also. Okay, so we used to suggest this tool for students, sorry, we used to suggest this book for students to learn it actually, but now I'm not suggesting. It doesn't matter. Okay, so you don't need to base the time. That's where I'm talking about ROI as well. A return on investment, you're investing time, which is the most costliest one. All right, so that's where you have to invest in the right one to learn the things, and that should give you a better results end of that. And again, end of the day, like knowing something is never going to be waste at any point of time. That also you need to understand. But what can give you the better results? Now it's like a stock market only. Like any of the stock can give you the some sort of a percentage of the return. But if you are investing in any company, okay, which is going to doing the business better, then such company can give you better returns, right? So it's as simple as that. Like I mean, like doing if you invest today, down the line 30 years, any stock can give you a return, no doubt in that. Okay, maybe 1%, 2%. There is such certain difference in yeah, chance. By the way, any standard company would have definitely give some returns, right? But some can give you a better result. So that's why in that context only you should look in your invest of your time as well on the topic. Now, editor purpose is open only edit a file, make some changes, save the changes. This much is pretty much, right? Maybe in Windows also the same thing, but you have shortcuts, Control S, Control F, maybe some options, find, replace, such options are there. But again, one more editor will come, which is a command line editor, which is an automation editor will come into picture. So that time we'll talk about bit more options because we automation is the scope, right? Now you can't compromise on that particular aspect. Manual editor, we are actually going with an option of opening a file, modifying the file, and save the file. That much. But your automation editor will come into picture where you'll not do the things manually. You have to do through automation. That time you will see a bit more options. Okay, so that's where you would like to edit any file, by the way. So then what you need to do is you open a file by using VI and the file name. Okay, so VI and the file name. File name is demo.txt. I'm just giving some file. Okay, now what is I'm telling is press insert or I character. If your keyboard has insert button, start using insert button, or else you can also press I character. Okay, which is also representing insert, by the way. So you do that. When you do that, you'll see here insert option which comes in here. Okay. Now make the changes. Now that means you type it hello world. Okay. And you have a flexibility that you can copy from here also you can paste it. Okay. So for an example, I can copy certain things here. Okay. I can just use Control V to maybe, 1 second. Oh, I'll not have copy access here. Makes sense. So I go back here, insert. Okay, so I paste this. So now you can see this, I pasted it here. I'm done. I did the make changes, by the way. Make the changes means adding, modifying, whatever it is, everything is done. Now press, what is the next one? Press escape. I'm pressing escape. I did escape, insert is gone. You see this, observe, insert is gone. Now press colon. Okay, I press colon. Now again down, some colon coming. Okay, so press WQ. Save and quit. W stands for write, by the way, write to the disk, and Q for quit. Done. Now you got that particular one editor. So vi demo.txt. Now next time you open it, you can see that. Now let's say you want to come out of the editor without any kind of saving, by the way. Now we can come out of the editor without saving the changes. Open the file, insert. If you make changes, that's okay. But after that, if you don't want to save it, colon Q exclamatory. Okay, I don't want to save any changes. Now colon escape colon Q exclamatory. I'll come out without saving any changes. So these are the two different options that you can think of in the V editor. Okay. Now, if in the V editor is going to open the file, if you are already having some content, so it will just open that particular content. Otherwise, it is going to create a new file. Okay. So that is how, okay, V editor is going to work. Now, for an example, this content is already there. Now I wanted to add some modifications. Now I open demo.txt, follow the same process, press insert button or I character. I pressed insert. Insert button means you can do modifications. So then something like availability zones. Okay. So and CDN, maybe let's say CDN, some change I wanted to make. Okay. Now I'm done with the changes. Now what is the next one? Press escape. Okay. Press escape. All right. And then press colon. I pressed colon. Okay. WQ. Okay. And enter. The changes are done. All right. So this is how you can make the changes to your file. Now, without changes also, like, without opening a file, you just want to see the content in the file, then the next commands will come into picture. It's anyhow, it's going to be a cat command. Now you can just give cat demo.txt. So you should see the content of the file and you're seeing that CDN. Okay. So this is how we are going to deal with. So this is how we are going to deal with the editor, how to create a file if the file doesn't exist, or how to modify the file if it is already having some content. in these particular options. Now you can use up arrow, down arrow to go to the previous line, down line, arrows you can use, and okay, you can modify it. This is how you can do it, right? Does it sound clear? Any questions? Process is same. So you have to click on hand option if you have any question.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
You said that VA editor, right? Suppose, let us assume in VA editor we have somewhere around 20 lines of code.
Mm.
And suppose if we need to do any changes in the 15th line of code, like will be there any command to directly go to 15th line, or we need to just press the arrow button?
That's what I have mentioned in the last 15 minutes, right? So there's hell lot of options in VA editor. Okay. But however, we are actually going with, okay, what is the MVP kind of a thing? So at this point of time, go with the down arrow. But there is an option, colon, and you can give that particular line number, you can go there. The last 15 minutes, I've been telling the same thing, and
Okay.
you're asking the same, right? So no, that's what like, so you started with one option that there are 100,000 options which are there. And even more than that in VA editor, I would definitely know about it, right? So those are not is the area of your interest at this point of time. So MVP, think about that. The job is getting done, let it done.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions? Yeah, Nazrin. Your voice is very low. Your voice is very low.
Can you hear me now? Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So, can you please show this again just because I'm trying and I'm not able to see the saved one. Please, just
Don't do the
please.
things in parallel. Maybe I did not mention it.
Uh,
So while I run the session, just ensure you watch it like a movie. You should not have any logical gap. If you have any logical gap or a confusion, so please raise your voice. But don't do the things in parallel. This is not that way of training, by the way. So during the session, focus on what I'm doing and what I'm
okay.
teaching. After the session only, please go on.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, because two things you're doing in parallel, you'll miss the things. So, and this
Okay.
this training will go for 9 months easily if you're actually doing in this approach. Yeah, that's a model. Thanks. Not able to hear you, like.
Hi Raghu, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so my doubt here is you just created a file and then using the insert option, you have added some raw data and you tried to make changes. And like these things you have done right now, right? Like with this rough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you used escape, WQ, and colon at the same time, right? At the last.
Not at the same time. So it's given as a sequence, right? So first you have to press escape. After that, press colon. After that, press W.
Okay, so okay, those three are not like in a same time, right? So one after the other, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't see any more hands. So moving on. So the next one is going to be a content filter, by the way. So now with VEditor, you have seen the file opening, and so just even if you want to see the content also, you can open with VEditor, but still there are other commands that can show you the content, and those first command is basically already executed here. If you want to see the content of a file, then there is a command called as cat command. Okay, you don't want to edit the file, but you want to just see the content. Okay, in this case, you don't have an editor available. I mean, you need to not have an editor. You don't need to really need an editor. Okay, so how can you use is cat command? So cat and a file can show you the content. Yeah, okay, so maybe here anaconda ks.cfg, it will just show you that particular content. Now, cat also have one option which is maybe sometimes useful. So hyphen and demo.txt, it will show you with the line numbers also. Maybe sometimes it may be useful. You will come to know which line number that line is. That this is there, by the way. You will come to. So some useful features. So cat command. All right. The next one is now in many situations you might need to have a certain line number of. Okay, so certain number of lines only from a file, or else you require only certain content, by the way. Okay, you don't want all the content. Now let's say here anaconda ks.cfg. So it is giving a very large content, by the way. So reading it maybe is, I mean, if I want to read the full file, that's fine. But I am looking for whether certain information is there or not. I just wanted to look like, so this line is there or not, or word is there or not, or something like that. So then the filters will come into picture, filter commands will come into picture. And these commands are, I mean, certainly useful in some scenarios. So head command, so head of a particular file, anaconda, like let's say ks.cfg, it gives you the top 10 lines. The head command is going to give you the top 10 lines. If I'm looking for, okay, only a last 2 lines, head -2. You're getting only first 2 lines. These are the first 2 lines. So now you start filtering the content based on your requirement. If your requirement is to get top some number of lines, you can go with the head and do that. And whereas if I are looking for ending, by the way, so tail also will give you the last lines, by the way. Head means top lines, tail means ending lines. Ending, I wanted to check like, what is the 2 lines I have? One empty line is there and one root beater. This is there. So this is how we are going to have the, okay, so head and tail commands. Head is going to give you the top 10 lines. Tail is going to give you the last 10 lines. And you can modify that by using -n number, and you can do that. Now this is based on the line numbers approach. Okay, if you want to go with the line numbers. Okay, but however, if I wanted to go with such a word and I want to get that word only, by the way. For an example, I would like to check, is there any lines in the name of Red Hat? Okay, from anaconda ks.cfg. Is there any lines we are having for Red Hat? Okay, then it is going to search a lines only with the word Red Hat, and you are going to get those. Okay, so this is how we are going to, okay, deal with searching a particular word. And sometimes, very interestingly, you are going to get, okay, let's take a file cat/etc password, one file. So now let's say grep root from /etc password, you will get 2 lines. This is some, okay, you're getting 2 lines wherever you have root, by the way. Now, if I want to go with a column-based filtering, okay, column-based filtering. Now, I mean, this file is literally in column. So that means like, so this is first column. After that colon symbol is there, X column is there. After that colon symbol is there. And again, like this, okay, you're having. Now there is also some files called as CSV. So CSV is nothing but comma separated files, right? So that means each and every field is going to have comma, right? So like this, if you are having certain things, now you're looking for first column. Okay, for an example, I am having some students.txt. So student's name is Raj. Okay, let's say Raju, and his mobile number is 100 or something thousand, or his number is 1000. So like let's say Rahim. So now his number is 1001. Okay, so he belongs to AWS. He belongs to Azure. Okay, something like this. A CSV file. Okay, now cat students.txt. Now this is each and every column you are having is separated by comma. Okay, so this is how we do it. Now in such files, you're looking for columns. I want only the name of the student. And how do you get that? Now AWK is a command which will help you. Okay, so AWK-F. What is the field separator? F stands for field separator. What is the field separator between this and this? Comma. So you give comma. Okay, and after that, single quotes, flower brackets, print, and dollar the column number. Okay, so single quotes, flower brackets, print. So if I want the dollar, if I want the first column, $1, okay, students.txt. You're looking for first column and as well as third column, let's say, comma, $3. So you can see the first column and third column. Like this, okay, you're going to get it. So now the previous file, so cat/etc password. So it is a colon based one. So AWK -F colon. And if I'm going for print $1 and the file name is /etc/password, you'll be able to get the first. So this is how you're doing it. So either you can use AWK-F, and if it is a comma, I'm using comma. If it is a colon, I'm using colon. If it is something else, I have to use something. Okay. So this is how you will be filtering based on the columns. Okay. If you try to understand, so then here it is going to be like this. So you're getting rows and you want to get columns. Okay. So the first column is $1, second column is $2, 3, something like that. Okay. So forgive my bad handwriting, but just that was the idea. Okay. So that's about some filter commands we wanted to talk about. Any questions on this? And again, I mean, there are many options around these particular commands. Like based on the requirements, the same context which I shared yesterday is going to be the same thing. If your requirement is something else, you should start reading about this command. Man grep, you'll find a bit more options on grep. Man AWK, you'll find a bit more on AWK. You need more scenarios or more something like that. So then you start reading about it. Or you type your exact requirement in Google. At least you get some information. Start reading it. Okay. All the million scenarios of something you can't be solving here. Okay. So that is also something that, again, same thing which we already talked about. Okay. Yeah. Any questions, please go.
Hi, Raghu. Good morning. So
yeah,
in the AWK command, you have AWK in the syntax AWK-F within the apostrophe you have delimiter. So, but when you're typing the actual command, you're just leaving the comma. You're not writing it within the apostrophe. Like how you have
within, sorry.
Within the apostrophe
Quotes, okay. We call it a single quote, double
within
quote.
quote. Sorry, within single quote. Sorry.
Yeah.
Within single quotes, you're not mentioning comma.
Correct.
But you're mentioning print within single quotes. Why is
It's
that?
a right observation. I mean, in fact, actually, it's a correct observation. So even you give quote, without quote, it is same. And you have a quotes concept coming in next week somewhere in the shell scripting. Okay. We talk about the quotes. What happens with quote, what happens without quote, you'll understand it. But you're right, actually. Okay. So maybe as a practice, in the syntax I have given quotes, better you start with quotes. Why?
Okay.
You will come to know one day. Yeah. Quotes concept we exclusively cover.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Now, another one is regular expressions. It's also a very important thing. Okay, it's a must to learn it. So I was given already the shell shortcuts must you should learn, and regular expressions also is a must thing that you should learn. By the way, what is a regular expression is like someone was asking me yesterday, like there is a ls command. Okay, now I wanted to get the files only starting with or ending with, let's say, .cfg. Now you can go and give ls star .cfg. You will get only those particular files. What is a star? Star is called as a regular expression. What are the regular expressions you have? Okay, and how they will be, I mean, ultimately, like, those are going to help you in doing your job bit better. So that's where, okay, some of the or else basically what are the regular expressions you have, I mean, is being explained in that particular video. So spend some time, please take a look. And okay, may not be immediately also, like as I mentioned. So one fine day, I mean, maybe whenever you have some half an hour to 1 hour, probably go through that particular one and start understand it, at least have a context that you should know that, okay, there is something that can be done. Okay, right? So that much understanding is fine. But whenever you go in, actually also again, you can think about it as well. But at least you should know about, yes, this can be done. There is something that I know. Okay. So that much knowledge is also is very good to have, at least in that way. So maybe you don't practice also is fine, but at least try to understand, watch it once and try to understand, okay, this can be done this way. All right, fine. Whenever it need come into picture, you don't really remember the syntax and what is it, what and all. At least you know, yes, there is something that can be done is fine. Okay. So yeah, that's where, okay, that's also is fine. But and the next one is, and even I also, okay, so let me also tell me some experience here as well. So here, okay, the way which I mentioned, or the approach which I mentioned, is basically uh, is a very general approach, by the way. So which is followed in the industry uh, by many people. In fact, by the way, even in the approach of development, also this thought process will be applied as well. So what is that thought process is, even if you have watched some of the English drama movies and things like that, probably you might have know about this particular phrase as well. We will see when we cross the bridge. Okay, so recently in one of the Indian movie also I have seen this phrase, by the way. So we'll see when we cross the bridge. This means, by the way, you don't worry about the futuristic problems. Every problem you don't worry about today. Okay. So I was like that actually, maybe 7, 8 years back, so when something comes into picture, I'll not move on until I solve this. I'll not move on. Okay. And we know that, that is not a blocker for today. That may be a blocker one day, but I was in a mindset like, I will not move on. I'll stuck there only. Okay. So, so some senior has guided me. Okay. It is not the right way that you're doing it. And okay, somehow, okay, I learned it in a hard way, but still, okay, I mean, it empowered me a lot, by the way, in a way that we apply something to a problem. Okay. So that's where, okay, so learn the context that, so you have something, by the way, have an understanding, that much is fine. But if you don't need to really remember everything there, you can see whenever you get the requirement. Okay. So in that context only, I have mentioned it again. So these are small things. Like at least today I have mentioned a couple of things, like ROI I mentioned. Okay. So MVP I have mentioned. Okay. So we'll see when we cross the bridge. So these are all small things only, but changes, changes the things a lot. By the way, at least for me, the impact was high. Okay. When I started inheriting these things, maybe if it is useful for you, you can think as well. All right. So someone, I can see a question. What if you want to find something in a row using AWK command? Like I already mentioned, okay, so every command has its own options. So like, again, another book we talked about, right? SCD 101 hacks we talked about. Now AWK also have 101 hacks. Okay, so this is also the same book from the same guy, Naresh Natarajan. All right, so just so there is a SCD and AWK. It's actually SCD 101 hacks and AWA 101 hacks, and yeah, like is a big command by the way. AWK, you don't end up with one option by the way. AWK itself is a scripting language. Okay, so okay, you have many things, like as just now we are talking about the same thing, right? So you have something and it's possible, definitely it's not possible, you start reading about it. Okay, I know the option I can tell directly, but you think about it. Okay, so since you asked, I can just go with that. Okay, so maybe AWK, so I can just go and give colon print $1. Okay, so I can go and search for only a root and then print only from those particular files. Now you're doing a column-based filterings, and as well as you're searching for a word root, then only you're getting those lines. Okay, so you can do a combination as well. You can search a word, and on top of that searching, actually, you can do the column one printing. You can do that like this. Like there are many options. Okay, don't just stuck with I know this, I'm happy, something like that, right? So there are always more, and that requirement comes in. Start searching the same thing in the internet. Okay, adopt this practice. Okay, that's fine. But at least you have a context, you have a column-based filter. Now, if you have a column with some other combinations, start searching. You should be able to get it. Okay, don't waste the time like me, which I have done some years back. Okay, we have many things to learn later, by the way. So that's the context. Moving on. Now from here, the each and every command you're going to learn is very important. Until now was also important, but some like those are not considered as too much serious commands in a way, like so how to create a file, how to create a folder. Those are fundamentals, right? In an operating system, those are pretty much fundamentals. Okay. So now I think by this time you should already realize the power of Linux, by the way, because I was mentioning after a couple of years, you will realize that, Windows is the most difficult operating system. I think at least with today's experience, you should have already realized. Now, if you have a file with 10,000 lines and I want to get only the lines with a particular word, I want to get it. Maybe only 2-3 lines would be there. I want to get it. So how do you get that? Okay. So it's not possible with Windows straightforward. I mean, UI editors, what you have, by the way. Maybe command line you have. I don't think so. Command line also you have, unless until you have some PowerShell kind of thing. Okay. So start seeing the, so the powerfulness of Linux, by the way. So command line, especially how fast you are able to do the things, right? How fast you are able to retrieve the information as well. Okay. So yeah, going back, and the next one is okay, command line browser. The next one is command line browser, which we are going to use widely in our day-to-day activities, even in the job as well. The command is curl command. Now the browser which you use, maybe Google Chrome here. I'm using Google Chrome. In Google Chrome, okay, it's like a end user. I require all this UI and all. Maybe on the server side, I don't really need all this UI and all. Okay, all I need to do is actually you're seeing it as a UI, but our browser is not dealing with UI, by the way. Okay, now let's say you got this content. Now you are seeing in a fancy UI, but the browser did not got this response from the server. What the browser got the response from the server, if I right click and go with the view page source. Okay, if I click on this, now this is the source which I got it from the server. Okay, so this is the source which I got it from the server. And my browser over here is actually trying to show this like this. And of course, this is a UI browser. But this is not what we are actually dealing with. Even your browser, like for an end user, it's a different thing. But for a system to system communication, this is how the communication is happening. This is the content they are sharing, by the way. All right. So would like to do this kind of a thing, by the way. So it's a command line, means you'll see these kind of a things. Now if I just take this, okay, also go with command line. Now if I just go and try to browse it, by the way, so curl and I give this, and I'm going to see that the same content like this. Whatever you have seen in the page source, you're seeing the same thing here. Okay, because this is the actual content you deal with. Okay. So now you can do the browsing by using curl command. Maybe this is a little too much content, by the way. Even for a person who is actually coming from a web background, he can read this content. Maybe we can't read it. Okay, we are not understanding this code, but there are certain persons who will understand this code, by the way, who has written this code, and they will understand this code. For you, you are not able to understand, or for me, I'm not able to understand. If there is an understandable content, I can also read it. Okay, for an example, this internet utilities, this file only is there, by the way. So here, I don't know where is this URL come from. Like, let's say, so these are code somewhere actually. This is a code. Anyhow, creator, if I go, repository, if I go, the content. So this is an open content, by the way. So now you're seeing this content CLI, and what is that one? Browser utilities.md. This is the content. Now, if you have this URL, by the way, now you go and curl it now. Now you will understand this content. You're understanding this content. You are able to. Command line browser, most of the time, whatever you see here is the same thing coming. It's an English that you are able to understand. Okay. So that's where it all depends upon the, the raw, you see it, by the way. Okay, maybe as a user, we may not be able to see the raw, or we are not able to understand the raw. It is presented format is what you are seeing, but the raw is this. Okay, the curl command deals with the raw, and which is the real one. Okay, so now curl, you can give www.google.com. You will see that particular content. Anyhow, I already shown examples. This is a content. So some guy has written it, he will understand. Now in the browser, you'll do another operation also. What is that another operation is? You will download the things, right? So maybe I download some files as well. How do I download? Okay. So now if I have some URL of a downloading, by the way, so I will be downloading like this. Now in the download, there are two options. One option is I gave the URL, and this is a very important one as well, downloading, because I mean, you are dealing with the servers, you need to download softwares, you need to install softwares and things like that, like downloading. Now you are trying to download some software which is offered from some of their page, by the way. Okay, they'll offer a URL of downloading, and you have to download that. Okay. So how do you do that is curl and the URL, but I want to download it, and I'm saying that, -o, okay, output, save to this file name. I'm telling save to this file and enter. Now what happened is this file has been saved. Okay. Or else I don't want the file name to be saved, or I don't want the file name to be given. I don't want any file name to be given. Let it download, by the way. In Windows also, okay, you can download, like, let's say this is an Apache website somewhere, like let's say Tomcat is what you are downloading. Some apache.org Tomcat only. Okay, Tomcat.apache. Actually, this URL has been taken from here. Okay, tomcat.apache.org. The Tomcat, some Tomcat software. Now I go and give, okay, let's say Tomcat something, and I click on download option. Somewhere will be download. Yeah, here it is. This is a tar file. Now right click. This is a download URL. Copy, right click. Okay, what I'm doing is curl, paste the one. Okay, and then -o, and you can give the file name, or you don't want the file name to be given. Let it download. Even in Windows also, if I go back here, if I click on this, it will download in the same file name what they have provided. It's generally, we know that. However, there's other method also. I don't want to save that the same file name. Right click, save link as. Okay, then they'll ask you what is the name you wanted to give. Okay, I can go and give sample.tar.dz. Now this will download as sample.tar. File name you can choose even in Windows also. Maybe you're not doing that. The curl command also you can do the same thing. Now I don't want to give the custom file name. I can go for capital O, curl -O also I can go. -O will try to download the file name of whatever they are offering, by the way. Same like Chrome. Okay. Or else you wanted to give another file name, you can go and give small o sample.tar.gz. That's it. Okay. So this is how you browse it and you download it. Two options that what we generally do in the browser. Those are two is supported by curl command. Curl is the most powerful command that comes by default in the operating system. I know some people have been thought like, wget command or something like that. Wget is a third party command, so which will not get it by default in the operating system, in fact. Okay, curl is a native command, you will get it by default, and powerful command is curl. Wget has very, very, very bare minimum options. It's a useless command. Okay, curl is the most powerful command, and you can start using curl command. All right. Any questions on this before proceeding?
So where it is download, it will be downloaded in downloads folder.
No, there is no downloads folder. ls. You're seeing all the files.
Okay, got it. Okay, okay.
Okay, moving on. Now, when you download the files from the internet, by the way, when you download the files from the internet, okay, so those comes mostly in .zip format or .tar format. Even if I go to the Apache guy, he's telling you can download in zip format or tar format. Okay, so these are the two well-known formats for Linux. You will get it generally. Okay, so if I want to, this is a archive, by the way, like a zip file. This is an archive. Now, how do I unarchive this? How do I unarchive this? So that's where, okay, the tar command will come. So tar-xf, tar-x for x stands for extract. Let's say if you want to create a tar, then C comes into picture. So X for extract. And what is the file name? Apache, Tomcat, maybe let's say 10. You got it. And do ls, you'll see a folder which got extracted. Tar-xf and the file name should be fine. And the next is, okay, if you have a zip file. So for an example, let me download even here only we can download to get from there. The curl, copy link address, and curl -o, download this. This is a zip file you got. Okay, so you see this. Now I can go and use unzip command and you run this. So it is telling you, okay, it's unzipping to the same location. You already have this folder. It is asking, do you want me to overwrite? I'm pressing Control C to come out. I'll remove this Apache -tomcat 10 to folder. I just removed it. Okay, so now I'm going to unzip it again. So you got the unzipped output. All right. So this is how you can find the software that you're downloading, either it is a zip file or it in a uh, tar format, tar.gz format, or tar something. Doesn't matter. If it is a tar, then tar-xf. Right? That's what you have it in these commands: curl, tar, and unzip. Any questions? Okay. The next one is the last concept which you have in the Linux basics concept is the pipe symbol. This is one of the important and widely used option in your day-to-day activity as well, is a pipe symbol. And so what is a pipe is basically is pipes are used to send the output of first command, okay, to another command without storing the content anywhere physically on the disk. Now let's say command one output I want to send to command two output. Then how do you do that? So for an example, so cat this one and you. Okay. So this is how you have it. All right. Now, okay, cat etc password is actually giving a lot of content, and on top of that pipe you're sending and grep root here. So your first command output going to the second command. Now ls command you're having. Now ls command, if I give pipe, rm, okay, so it is telling missing operand, by the way. It is not removing the files. Whereas ls command I'm giving, now rm, if you simply give also, you get the same error. So that means ls command, you're sending the output to rm command, but rm command is not receiving it. So the pipe symbol will help you sending the command from command one to command two, but the command two should be in a position to read it. Okay, it's the ability of the command to read from the pipe symbol. But rm command doesn't have that. Rm command doesn't have that ability to read the information from ls command and use it with rm. So it is just working individually. Okay, one of the best command that we can talk as an example for this is every command doesn't support that. So command one output will be sent to command two. Pipe symbol will do that. Pipe job is that it is doing the job. But now it is the responsibility of the command two should be able to accept the input from the pipe symbol. If he is not able to, then the pipe symbol can't help you. And that's where there's a third party, another command that comes to the OS native command can help you, which is the xargs command. Okay. Now you will send the output to xargs, by the way. Okay. So xargs is actually taking that output. Ls, whatever you get it, xargs also you're getting the same. Okay. Now where you're sending the output to xargs command. Now xargs command, you can tell that, okay, once you receive the output, you execute a command rm, enter. Okay. Do ls, all the files gone. Okay. What happened? Xargs is taking the input now and giving the information to the rm command. Or in fact, actually xargs rm means rm command is actually going inside xargs. Now xargs knows that, okay, now left hand side to the xargs, okay, there's an input coming in. It takes that input. On the right hand side, as a command, actually it is coming in. Now it will take both the things and it just executes as command space input. Now what is the command? Rm space, the input coming in. So which is all the files removed. Now you see these no files are there. It's gone. Now let's say touch 1.txt, 2.txt, something like that. ls, two files are there. Now you can go and give pipe xargs rm. By the way, it's gone. Okay. So this is how you can do the things. Does it sound clear? Any questions? Very silent audience. Huh? All right. So that's something about the basics of that's something the basics of the Linux that are, it's basically everything is Linux. We just categorizing that as Linux basics and admin, something like that. Okay, it's not really a cat. I don't want to categorize that way, but just for organizing purpose, we just categorize that. Okay. So the next one, which we are going to talk about, is basically an administrative topic. So you have Linux administration. Now for this Linux administration, so what I'm actually going to use is we are going to create a Linux instance and we're going to start practicing in going to practice inside the cloud, by the way. So we're going to create a cloud instance and we're going to practice under the cloud instance. Okay, so that's where we asked you to create AWS account for each and every one. Asked you to create a AWS account. So from now on, we are going to create the servers in AWS, and we're going to create the servers in AWS, and we're going to use those particular AWS servers. Okay, so I already have an AWS account with me. I'll be just logging into that particular AWS account. So maybe just my login screen looks a little different than yours. Don't worry, you just log in, by the way. So when you actually open the URL, which is actually here, AWS login page, so you just click on this and it will ask you to enter the email and password. You enter that, your email and then password. That's fine. Okay. Mine is just a like authentication approach is a bit different for me. Okay. So like a company, you'll come to know about this. I'll talk about this. There's a landing zone concept. Okay, so even in the syllabus also, if you have seen the AWS, we'll talk about landing zone and all somewhere. Yeah, landing zone overview. So we'll talk about this at this point of time. Okay, so what is this landing zone? What is the things and all? Okay. So, but for now, this is what the account I'm having. All right. So like I mentioned, you need to pay a bill, by the way, for this account, by the way. And if you look into the billing history also, like let's say if I go to the billing, so this is the batch that I'm using. So let's say if I go to the Class Explorer, and now you can see this. I mean, that's what I was telling. On average, you have to pay some $30, like plus or minus. So in the May, by the way, so the cost is a bit high because of in the third month and the last week. I mean, like let's say last 6 weeks is going to be a little bit higher cost. This batch started 3 months back. Okay, so you can see the 3 months. 1 month it was very less, and after that it slowly increased, and even it went high, by the way. Why? Because okay, so the last. I mean, once you go to the ending of the things, by the way, you have to run a big project, and the big project you're going to run many things, by the way. Okay, so that's where the average cost will come into picture. And even these also some mistakes. I mean, some mistakes has been there in from my side, by the way. So like some 3-4 days I forget to stop the infra. Okay, this went this much long, otherwise this will not be that much. Okay, let me just show you the other batch, by the way. You might not see this much. You will see, but at least to a max of $50, not more than that. But that particular batch, actually, one long weekend was there. Even there was no sessions. Immediately after the session, I did not terminated the things. Okay, so and that's where it came into picture. Now here also the 1 month actually it went high. At least the last month of any training will go for a little bit higher cost because we have to run many things in order to achieve that. It's more or less same only then. That's okay. So, and anyhow, we'll be talking about some cost saving practices as well, including that actually you're getting that less bill. That is the less bill you're seeing. Okay, otherwise the cost will go even higher. And yeah, so this is how, okay, you're going to pay to Amazon as well. Okay, and what I would suggest is every day after login, this is a landing page that you will see even after login. So here you're going to get the billing dashboard. Okay, billing and cost management. So always every day at least you go here. Okay, or else every day at least they'll show you here. Try to observe. Okay, the cost. So there's a widget here itself available. Okay, so maybe you can move this, and it is your priority. Keep this as well. So here also maybe I'll keep it here. My services I'll be seeing it over here. So at least you adjust the widgets even. Okay, the cost you every day you try to look at the cost. So some unexpected thing should not happen. Okay, so that's where it is. And this is the Amazon console. Amazon is a AWS console. AWS is a name itself is telling you Amazon Web Services. They offer services. They offer services. What kind of services they will offer? Different type of services they'll offer. Okay, a different type of services they will try to offer. And and now what we are going to talk about is over here in these particular services, and I'm going to talk about different services, by the way. So which over here we'll see different services, but different purpose, they have different services. And out of that, compute is there. So compute, by the way, so again, you have different services in compute. One of the first foundation services of Amazon, and even to start with, we are also going to talk about is EC2. Maybe I'll just choose this as a star, then it will come here, and as well as top also, you can see that. Easy for you to do that. So you can just click on EC2 service so that you can get onto the EC2 service. Okay, so now here is the place. Now Amazon, by the way, so which, okay, or even before going to the services, I would like to talk about, there is something called as Amazon regions. Okay, so which is called as AWS regions. What is this AWS regions? Now Amazon have the data centers in different geographical locations. The locations are given here. Okay, different geographical locations, they're actually keeping their data center. Why they are doing that? Why don't they keep it in one place? I mean, keeping in one place is better for them, right? So because they can organize it in a better way, isn't it? So that's where, I mean, why not they can go ahead and create the things, everything in one place? Why they need to extend the things in multiple, I mean, geographical locations? Maybe we can think like, so availability. So one place goes down, everything goes down, right? So, but let's say if that is a real case, by the way, I mean, let's say Amazon is a native from US company. Okay, so why don't they actually just go to the, so other side of US? US is already a vast, okay, so I mean, vast geographical place, by the way, they have. So they can just choose two different places within AWS, within USA, by the way. Why they need to come out? Okay. So that's what you need to understand, why the regions concept is coming into picture, why Amazon is actually getting onto multiple countries in the very first place. First one is latency. Now let's say I'm sitting in India. Now I'm creating a server in AWS I'm creating a server of AWS in which region, which is, let's say, US region. Like, let's say Amazon is keeping everything in USA. Assume that, I'm keeping everything in USA now. Now, if I do that, okay, so then for each and every transaction that I have to do it, by the way. Now, let's say my customers are India-based customers. Now, my India-based customers, if they're accessing the application, they have to go all the way. Okay, they have to go all the way over wire, all the way from India to, India to US data center, and it has to hit it and they have to come back. Okay, all the way they have to go to the US and hit the server and they have to come back. which is a very lengthy wire, by the way. Okay, you know that, right? So at least what is internet? Internet is cables, isn't it? So how the cables are being organized, I mean, how the cables are being organized and all, I think like ocean data cables. Okay, so here, so in ocean, okay, there are the wires, by the way. Okay, country to country. Okay, so these are the wires. Okay, so TCS is the company which owns majority of this share, by the way. I think more than 90% of these wires are owned by Tata Consultancy, Tata company, not consultancy, Tata other division. Okay, so every country is connected with wires like this on. Okay, now if I'm sitting in India, okay, the wire has to go all the way somewhere like this to go to US, and it has to come back. Now what will happen? Latency will happen. Okay, latency will happen. That means, like, my application is bit slow. Application is slow. That is one of the major reason. Okay, that we need to go on to the that is one of the major reason that, okay, I need to go on to the or we need to go to the local data center. Okay, now what is another reason is also there? Data compliance. So today, today, like, a lot of government organizations, sorry, not government organizations, a lot of governments, they are actually enforcing the rules on the business that you should not take our data to the outside of the country. India also have that rule, by the way. I don't know the US perspective, by the way. But in India, you have a compliance, by the way, that you can't take the PII data, we call it as personal identity information data. Especially here you have, maybe in US it is called as SSN, social security number data. India, you have Aadhaar. Okay, that data actually you're not supposed to take out of the country. Okay, it is a compliance. All right. So, and for that reason also, okay, data compliance is there. Like, it started in UK, like, Europe region, maybe more than a decade back, so our data should not taken outside of the country, and slowly adopted by many countries, by the way. The data of the, country should not be taken out of country. So that's where also another reason that, Amazon has to be forcefully come to other countries and keep the data centers. These are the two reasons. Okay, so that Amazon is trying to build the, so different regions, by the way. Now in our training, we're going to use only one region, by the way. It is North Virginia region. Now, irrespective of which geographical location you are in, does not matter. We'll be sticking with North Virginia. And the reason for that is, because I'm going to offer certain lab, by the way. So that lab is actually available in this region only. Okay, so we don't have that in other regions. So that is a very simple reason that why we are going with North Virginia. You can go with any region, by the way. So, but however, we'll be going with North Virginia because I'm hosting the things there. Now, once you go inside a region, okay, there is multiple data centers also available. So now in the same diagram, in the region diagram, they're giving 2, 3, 3, 3, 5, something like this. This is a old diagram, it seems. It is showing 5 only, North Virginia. But if I really go and see here, I'm seeing 6, by the way. Okay, so that means 6 data centers are there in there. Now, without minimum 2 data centers, Amazon will not launch a region. Okay, without any 2 data centers, Amazon will not launch a region. That is one thing. Okay, so there will be multiple data centers. Now, how to use a particular data center and how do you deal with that? I mean, we'll be talking about there's a networking concept, and that time we'll talk about availability design of the application. So that time we'll be talking about this. Okay, so but for now, it is just going to be North Virginia. You're going to create the servers. Some data center it is going to create. Let Amazon take the choice for now. But later we are going to create. We are going to deal with. Later we are going to deal with. Okay, which data center I have to create. Also, I'll take a control. Okay, but at this point of time, it is going to be. So availability zone is there. Availability zone is called as a data center. Our data center is called as availability zone in Amazon. Okay, so this is what you have. Now over here in the EC2 service, okay, this is the EC2 dashboard even. So I'm having 0 instances and things like that. And on the left side, you can go on, click on instance, and you can launch an instance. Click on the instances. Okay, and you can launch the instance. Launch the instance is a documentation which is again given here. So follow this documentation. Document given even here. So to create a server, by the way, so log into Amazon console, choose the North Virginia region, or given the URL here, directly use that. It will take you to that only. Now over there, you click on launch instance. Once you click on launch instance, so you'll find it out under application and OS images. Where is application and OS images? Here is application and OS. So here I'm going to type something called as DevOps-practice and enter. Okay, so DevOps-practice and enter. And what is the further documentation is telling? So search for DevOps-practice and hint enter for search. And after entering, you're going to see that, so choose the community MIs. So here there is an option to choose the community MIs. So choose the community MI and then choose the RHL9 DevOps practice. So that means like here, it shows you directly in the marketplace, but you go to the community MIs, click on community MI, RHL9, click on select. Okay. And what next is shown there in the documentation, choose select that. And the key pair is there. So choose no key pair. All right. So key pair and then come down. So choose proceed without a key pair. Okay. And launch an instance. That's it. Just 2 options. You choose it and you launch an instance. And you should be able to connect to this instance. So the machine is actually in a pending state. Let it come to a running state. And then just maybe you need to give a minute for it to come up. So just a minute or so, the machine will come up and you should be able to access this particular machine. Now, how to access this particular machine? Okay, so you'll be using your client software. Now that's where you're going to download PuTTY. Okay, PuTTY download. So here's a PuTTY. It's a very simple software actually. It's just a KBs of file. Okay, you just need to download this. Copy link address. I'll also put this in, if you're using Windows, by the way, at least. I'll keep it here. You simply download the software, open this exe file. Maybe it just goes into your downloads or somewhere. Take that and keep it in desktop or somewhere. Okay, and simply, okay, so you can just give PuTTY. Most of the people use PuTTY, and there are some people also use Kitty also. Okay, Kitty also is there. So Kitty is also another software, just looks like a PuTTY only. Okay, so some people likes Kitty, some people likes PuTTY, but whatever it is, those 2 tools are similar only. And either of the tool is fine, PuTTY is fine. And after that, okay, you open that, actually, you're going to see the window like this. You're going to see a window like this. And open that window. And in the yellow color, they're entering one IP address, but it's not an yellow color, it's just highlighted. So that means what you need to do is you need to take that IP address once after creating a server. Okay, you just click on the server down, you will see a public IP address. You need to click on this. You can copy automatically. You can copy this and you can go and connect to that server. Okay, I don't have a PuTTY soft. I mean, I don't have a Windows to show you PuTTY, by the way, but you just go with that. And after that, okay, once you enter, by the way, so just click on open. Okay, and the next things will come into picture. Once after you open, it will ask for a username. The enter password screen. Okay, so yeah, here is the screen. It will look like. Screen looks like this. Okay, so here first it will ask you the username. Okay, like this, it will ask you. So here enter EC2-user. So the username is EC2-user, and the password is you enter the password DevOps321, but it will not be visible, capital D, capital O, but it will not be visible to you. Okay, so that one thing you understand. So that's not visible to you. So this is the one you have to execute. Just adding it for your reference as well. So here you enter, when it asks for username, enter EC2-user, and the password, when it asks for, type carefully. It will not be visible to you, but you just need to be typing carefully, and then DevOps321 is there, which is fine. And you enter, it will take you to the server. Now I'm a Mac OS guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to, run. I open my terminal, by the way. So there is a terminal which will come like this. And in this particular terminal, what I'm going to do is the same thing, by the way. If you're also a Mac OS guy, you will also do the same thing what I'm doing now. So here SSH EC2-user, okay, EC2-user @ this one, and enter. It will ask for password. I have to type DevOps321, and maybe it will ask for yes or no also. Type yes, enter, and you have to enter the password, and it will take you to the server. So this is how you get it. Putty also you get it. Okay. Online, any chance of online Putty website, something like that. Let me try. Just curious. Let me just. So here, style skills, Google. I don't know what is this also. Forget about it. Okay, that's the client. Now let me also add the username and password here itself, just for reference. Text-wise also you do that. Image name is you'll be choosing RHEL 9. Okay, so there'll be RHEL 9 and CentOS 8 will be there. Two versions will be there. So RHEL 9 and username is EC2-user and password is DevOps321. Okay, why this username, password, and all we'll talk. Okay, but those are the default username and password coming. I am shipping with my image, whatever I'm giving. Just simply use that. Okay, so this is what it is, and you will be able to do that once you connect, which is now once you're done with your job. So once you're done with your practice, you can terminate your instance. That terminate means you're deleting the instance. So this is how we are going to deal with it. So now all the details is already given in the Killer Coda. By the way, when you open Killer Coda, you're going to get Linux administration. So there's a document here. So step by step is clearly mentioned here. Okay, all you need to do is just follow it. All right, so that's all from my side for today. So make yourself servers created maybe by tomorrow, and get your accounts ready if not created, and create those servers. Then you can start using the actual servers from now on. Yeah, that's all from my side. Any questions, please go ahead.
Hi Raghu. So we use Putty. Putty is only for Windows users who need a terminal connection, so they use Putty. But for others, non-Windows, we can directly use the terminal, right?
No, are you non-Windows? Are you using Mac?
Yes.
Then terminal, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Raghu.
Yeah.
Whenever any of that file we have there, in that file we will modify any data. We will replace the data. How we will do by using?
So how you do in Windows?
We will go that folder and we will modify, edit it, and we will modify and save it.
Okay, but why the question in Linux? Same
No,
question.
part command we will use.
VI only, right? Editor is VI.
Apart from for replacing any words and places we are doing same like that we will do any options.
There's a lot of background noise. Your voice is not coming clear to me. Can you come again?
No, we are word replacing is there now. We are using one command to use for word replacing. Same like that. Is there any?
To replace a word in editor you are using. Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. To replace a word, by the way. So like I mentioned, we learned some minimal options in VI editor. You can start searching for it if you are interested in that option. Or else we talked about there's a command line editor. One more editor will come into picture for automation. Now in automation, we'll talk about that option.
You are using SSH command, no? For that what?
Are you a Windows system holding or a Mac OS?
And Windows.
Then use Putty. SSH is not for you.
What is the full form of SSH?
Secure shell.
We are using for that one is for Mac OS.
Forget about it. You use Putty for now. You will understand.
Yeah.
You're on mute, Prashant. You're not up.
Yeah, hi Raghu. Can you just just let me know that I actually have a question. I missed that point about the reason for having multiple regions and the policies of what you talked about for the different country and how it will be managed.
Like it's a government policies, by the way. You should not take the data out of country.
Okay.
As well as speed as well. Right. So the server is far. Your response is very less, by the way. And if you want to understand, so the length of the wire importance, by the way, in YouTube, you will find out one video. So stock market, okay, real estate, by the way, and stock market wire in New York. Okay. Now, New York is a very big country. Sorry, USA is a very big country where the stock market is residing on the east side of the country, whereas there are customers on the west side of the country as well. And there is a thousands of miles, which is there, by the way. Now the customers who is in within New York and very near to the stock market exchange, they'll get the response very faster comparing with maybe it can be at 0.005 millisecond. That is okay. But still he is getting in a less time, by the way. Okay. So that actually resembles like that translates into billions of dollars of transaction. Okay. So that's where, so one of the stock exchange has neutralized it by adding some wire. And you can read this video to understand the importance of, real estate around stock market, by the way. So when the stock market exchange is there and the data center also usually resides there, and usually, the real estate around it is very costly, by the way, because everyone want to be there. I'm not sure. I mean, if you have observed, by the way, the patterns. Now, let's say you stay in which country, by the way, like India or US?
India.
India. Now, India, by the way, the stock market exchange is sitting in Mumbai. There is a region called as, there is an area called as BKC. Okay. So maps.google.com, if I go in, if I just show you Mumbai, BKC. Okay. So if you go to the BKC region, Barakula complex. So now here, every bank you'll find out in this area only. Every bank, their corporate, either it is a corporate or their data center, they run here only, because here is the NSE and BSE runs, by the way. So here is the place that NSE building is there.
Correct.
Okay. Now around that only, every bank you'll find here only, because the reason is very simple. The more you near to the, so this one, the wire is less and you get the response faster, and they can serve the customers better. That's a simple idea. And it applies the same thing for New York also. I mean, that some of the area, you'll have every bank quarters, you'll find some building there. Okay. Yeah. So that as a latency is another reason, 2 reasons.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Anyone? Any other questions? All right. So let's meet in tomorrow's session and we'll continue from there. Okay. Bye. Good day.